Hello and welcome to PalaceFanTV. I'm Jim Daly. It's our Newcastle preview video and we've got a very special guest indeed for this one. You've seen him on the internet. He's all over. He's YouTube's biggest Newcastle fan. It's the True Geordie. Hello.
Hello, mate. Nice to be on. Thanks for asking us on, pal.
Thank you very much for being here. How are you?
I'm good, mate. How's you, pal?
Not too bad. Not brilliant after Monday night's defeat to Sunderland.
I think I'm more gutted than you about that, to be honest.
Really?
Well, obviously we need Sunderland to prop us up like a crutch, don't we? So I was kind of hoping for Pardew to win one for a change, you know.
Probably the first time you'd have been hoping Pardew would do that. Let's talk about Pardew first of all, because he is the big talking point ahead of Saturday. It does seem it's been almost a year since he's left Newcastle for Palace, but it does seem like Newcastle fans still a bit hung up on him, a bit like a sort of a jilted lover. Why are Newcastle fans still a bit obsessed with Pards?
I don't actually. I think maybe that's a misconception because, you know, on social media, whenever, and I mean whenever, Alan Pardew wins a game, and it could be a game he should be winning, it doesn't matter. Newcastle fans will be berated with pictures of Pardew like this, you know. So obviously we respond to that, and then obviously we're hung up on him. But it's part of the banter on football, you know. We wanted rid of a manager who was then gone on to do all right for Crystal Palace, do well compared to what Neil Warnock was doing, which, you know, Pardew was obviously better than Neil Warnock. And carrying on from where Pulis left off, I think, is what Pardew's doing. You know, he's solidifying Palace. Whereas Newcastle are struggling, so obviously that's made us look like idiots, and therefore everyone's pointing the finger and laughing, which is what you do in football. I do it to people all the time, and I'll take it on the chin. But in all honesty, I think there's a misconception about Newcastle fans that, you know, we wanted Pardew out and we thought everything was going to be great. Obviously, we didn't expect John Carver to get the job. We certainly didn't expect Steve McLaren to get the job. So if you'd go back in time now and say, do you want rid of Alan Pardew because you're going to get John Carver then Steve McLaren? I would say, no, we'll keep Alan Pardew. I don't like him, and I don't think he's a great manager, but he's certainly better than Neil Warnock, John Carver, and Steve McLaren. I think that's crystal clear.
Would you ever have, in an ulterior universe or any time, would you ever have Pardew back?
I didn't like the direction of the club under Alan Pardew. I think certain managers fit certain clubs. I think with Alan Pardew being a Palace legend, I guess you would call him, loved by the fans, the expectations of Crystal Palace are perfect for the kind of football Alan Pardew plays. He likes to play counter-attacking football. He's not the type of manager who knows how to break a team down and take the game to another team. He likes you to come on and then hit you on the counter and sort of expose your weaknesses. And you know, for Palace, who have struggled for the majority of their time ever in the Premier League, that's a match made in heaven to me. Whereas at Newcastle, who are known, all right, short memories, a lot of people think we've been shite ever for, you know, the entirety of Premier League football, but we have traditionally been an attacking team. We attack teams. That's what we want to see at Newcastle. I'm not saying we want to win every game. I don't think we should be Premier League champions. I don't think we should even be top six. But, you know, attacking football, maybe top half of the table. And under Alan Pardew, which is something that a lot of people forget, outside of the first season, which I have to admit, even at the time, I thought it was the luckiest season I've ever seen Newcastle play in my life when we got fifth, which was what I call the honeymoon period of Alan Pardew. After that, statistically, we were the worst team other than everyone who got relegated under Alan Pardew. Now, that's forgotten by everyone because he's doing well at Palace, so therefore, well, that was the same as the way it was at Newcastle. No, it wasn't. And he's actually got a better team at Crystal Palace than he had at Newcastle. So no wonder he's doing better, but let's not forget that it wasn't great at Newcastle under Pardew, because if it was, I wouldn't have wanted him out.
It's so funny you say about that his teams are set up to counter-attack and they struggle to break teams down, because that is exactly what's happening at Steelers at the moment. It's exactly what happened on Monday night. We've had it in previous games. Is that just the way his teams play, or will he try and adapt that, or is that just the way it's going to be?
Well, obviously, he was a defender himself, so he's obviously going to have a defensive mindset, although you wouldn't know that by the way he organised the Newcastle defence. But, you know, I think that is Alan Pardew. You know, that's why he's so good away. And we were good away as well at Newcastle. Well, we're not great, but we're better away than we were at home, because then the pressure was on us. And, you know, he wasn't the kind of manager who'd be able to figure out teams. You know, they'd have to expose themselves, and then we'd capitalise on that. And I think what you want an Alan Pardew for, but I would think this if I was a Palace fan, a Newcastle fan, or any team who were down the bottom. You bring a Pardew in to solidify you, to get you to mid-table if possible, and then you move on to a manager who's going to take you to that next level. A bit like what West Ham have tried to do with Slaven Bilic, moving from a big Sam Allardyce or a Tony Pulis or an Alan Pardew to a Slaven Bilic. But I think, credit to him for what he's doing. I'm not trying to take anything away. I think he's done good at Palace, but that's where I say Pardew. That's where I think everyone should say, all right, time to go.
It's funny because it does feel like now that he is taking Palace to a next level. If you ask any Palace fan, they will say we've definitely gone on from Pulis. Warnock didn't work out. We are going to that next level. I mean, realistically, who else can Palace get as a manager that's better than Pardew?
I think he could be your David Moyes, maybe. Everton. I think Everton were at a point where, he kind of felt like they couldn't get anyone else. And who would go to Everton? It's a risky situation, especially when someone has done very decently for a long period of time. So he has taken it to that next level. But what I'm trying to say is it won't be going to the level above that. This is as far. Maybe you might have one lucky season where like he did with us, where he got top 6. But I just feel like he's got a ceiling, Alan Pardew, of what he's capable of. And another thing that Palace are going to struggle with, well, possibly, is players leaving. And one thing that Alan Pardew did show at Newcastle was in the transfer market, although he didn't have full responsibility of the transfers, he did have some responsibility, and he was awful. Now, a lot of the players he's got in, aside from Johan Cabaye, which was an absolute no-brainer, a lot of the players he got in were already there. Yannick Bolasie, Wilfried Zaha. For me, I'm a massive Zaha fan. I think he's a fantastic player. If you just lose them, will Alan Pardew be able to replace them? And if he can't replace them, then we're going to see his actual team, because of the players he's going to sign. And that's where I see the eventual issues coming down the road for Crystal Palace.
Well, what do you think of someone like Connor Wickham? Because Wickham is a Pardew signing, hasn't played much this season, but a lot of fans aren't convinced that he can score goals for Palace.
Yeah, I was talking to a Sunderland fan the other day who's like, knows. For me, I think you look at the fans. Every fan knows that club better than anyone else does, And he rates them, but he's never been prolific. And at the start of the season, I remember thinking to myself, I'm really glad Palace didn't get Charlie Austin. Because,
we wanted him, yeah.
Yeah, we did, but we cheaped out and got somebody else. But, with Cabaye, who I think is a fantastic player, on his day, he has these off days like he did at Newcastle, but he's done brilliant for years this season. And with those wingers that you've got, having a Charlie Austin, yous would have been within a real chance of getting top 6, because that's all yous are lacking really in the team at the minute.
Yeah, we need goals. We need goals big time. So what sort of reaction will Pards get on Saturday from the Newcastle fans?
Indifferent, really. I guess some of them will boo because it's he's left and he's gone on. He's done better since he's left, but I really don't think that. Well, I'm not that bothered about Alan Pardew, honestly. I mean, I made a big deal about it at the time because I was happy to see the end of a negative-minded manager, in my opinion, and I wanted someone more attacking. I didn't know what was coming down the road, but I'm not. Do you know what it is? I'm just a live and let live kind of bloke. He's off doing his thing with Palace. It seems really well suited to yous. Yous are happy. We've got our own grass to worry about, which is gone shite. To worry about other people's grass, you know what I mean? So I'm more concerned about worrying about the state of Newcastle than worrying about how well Pardew's doing or badly or whatever.
And are you worried? Because it's not really working out for McLaren at the moment, is it?
Yeah, mate. I mean, obviously, when John Carver was appointed, that was that was one of the worst decisions in football in history. That and McLaren.
He said he was the best coach in the Premier League.
Bloody hell, mate! He's the most deluded man in the Premier League. What was McLaren? Obviously, you'll have remembered his time at England. Wayne Rooney, David Beckham, Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard, all these great players in their prime, not over the hill, in their prime, couldn't qualify for Euro 2008. That terrified me because we need someone who can make the most out of a bad team, not the worst out of a good team. So that's what he's doing with the England, like a golden generation of England players. What the hell is he going to do with us? And to be fair to him, and once again, I'm not trying to knock Pardew, but if we're comparing the situations to when it was with Pardew, we've actually played better football under McLaren than we ever did with Alan Pardew. Even when we're winning games, it's a lot more passing, attack-minded, breaking teams down. Like we smashed Norwich 6-2. I can't remember that we've never smashed a team under Pardew practically. So it felt like we're heading in the right direction. And then we've just hit a brick wall and we've started playing terribly out of nowhere. And I think one thing is it's a motivational issue to the players. We've got a lot of players who are just mollycoddled, and they there's a bad attitude rooted in the core of our squad, and that's something Pardew had his issues with as well, to be fair to him. Players like our captain, Colaccini, you need a captain to be a real captain, and he's a mouse, mate. I mean, he might look like he's 6 foot, but he's got the heart of a mouse. He's pathetic, and it's just right throughout the team. It's terrible.
It's funny you say that, though, because Pardew has, with certain players in the Palace squad that might have an attitude problem, Zaha, for example, who's been spoken about, he's been sort of dealing with him by dropping him one game, taking him off, bringing him back on. And Palace fans are like, oh, okay, he's dealing with that quite well. But is what you're saying that actually maybe if there is a problem with player attitude, it's something that Pardew can't really deal with?
Well, I think motivationally speaking, at the time when he was manager, I thought to myself, bloody hell, he cannot motivate these lads at all. Look at the derbies. Alan Pardew's record in the derbies was awful. I mean, I know we've still lost one since he left, but he lost like 5 in a row, Alan Pardew, derby-wise. So I did blame him a lot for that. But at the same time, to be fair to him, you can't get yourself for a derby. What kind of footballer are you?
Yeah.
So that is a real issue within our team. And maybe Pardew's learned from that. I'm sure he's learned a lot at Newcastle, because sometimes when things go really badly, you learn a lot of lessons.
Yeah.
And, Wilfred Zaha, Man United spent 15 million on him, bought him from you, then sold him back to you for like 3 million. They should have loaned him back to you, because he is now worth, I'd say, 10 million. He looks fantastic this season.
Well, they did. They loaned him back, and then we made an offer, and they said yeah. So that's bad business on their part.
He's another player I wanted at the time, because and that's another thing that Newcastle struggle with, and I don't know how you are defensively at fullback, but we've got no width in the team at all. So we're playing a central attacking midfielder in Wijnaldum on the left, a central attacking midfielder in Sissoko on the right, and my central midfield is garbage. So, I mean, I'm not expecting great things, mate.
Well, it's funny you say that, because on Monday our 2 fullbacks, Joel Ward and Pape Souaré, probably had their worst games of the season. So
they'll not be tested too much.
Good, that's perfect. What are your thoughts on the Palace fans? Because they get a lot of coverage and credit for being good fans. Newcastle as well got a reputation of being good fans. What are your thoughts on the Palace supporters?
I think passionate is the word I'd use. I think I like the fact that obviously as our London club, the smallest London club that's at the highest level, and yet you have extremely passionate fans. I'm actually friends with Mark Bright.
Okay.
I did a bit of work with him, commentating with him, and when you meet someone, you don't know what to make of them, and Mark Bright's got this image of being quite sensible in front of the camera, but behind the camera he was anything but sensible. He was absolutely hilarious, to be fair to him. I got on really well with him, and the Palace fans give me a lot of stick and good banter, but I take it on the chin. It's all a laugh, I just admire the fact that they haven't gone for the Chelsea, the Arsenal, the support Crystal Palace, so fair play to them,
Good stuff, good stuff. Do you think there'll ever be a time down the road where you could love Alan Pardew?
Not a chance, mate. To be honest, I mean, and I say this in all seriousness, I still fully expect them to struggle down the line. Like I say, once the honeymoon period wears off, because Pardew was good at motivating players when he first walked through the door, but it was clear after about 18 months to 2 years, his motivational speeches and all that really wore off on the lads. And like I say, that could easily have been a problem with the players. But when it come to bringing new players in, etc., he really struggled. And I think that Newcastle, because we are a big club and we have got, and I'm not saying we're a massive club before anyone takes that the wrong way. I know where we are. But we've got a lot of fans, and we've got, we spent £50 million in the summer, and we could easily spend another 50 if we really wanted this January. We kind of had that backing us up, and I feel like with Crystal Palace, if the same should happen, I don't know what your safety net is going to be like to keep you up. So I do see problems in the future for him, but hell, I don't wish any bad on Crystal Palace. Fair play to yous.
Thanks, we appreciate that. And I mean, we're a year in now, so I guess that is the honeymoon period almost coming up. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in 6 months to a year's time. But we're so far it's going very well.
It is, mate.
We're very happy.
Hopefully not too well this weekend, though.
Well, let's do a prediction, shall we, for Saturday? What is your predicted score for Palace Newcastle?
I'm gonna say it's a 1-1 draw, mate. I think the thing is, I don't know what he's been like for Crystal Palace, but in Newcastle, when we'd win, we'd probably win a couple in a row, maybe 2 or 3 in a row. But when we'd lose 2 or 3 in a row.
That's exactly what's happening, yeah.
All right. Well, under Pardew, that's exactly what it was like for us. He struggled to turn it around in the dressing room a bit. And once they were down, it was hard to get them back up again. And then when we did get a result, all right, now we can build from that. So you have just lost, but you didn't deserve to lose. It wasn't like you were battered. So maybe you might take some confidence. Maybe you might come out with a point to prove, like, we're not going to let that happen this time. But because we're going to go away, because it's Alan Pardew, the players know no one's going to want to lose. Palace aren't going to want to lose. I think maybe both teams will end up drawing 1-1.
So Sunderland on Monday night, they played really defensive, like 2 banks of 4. They looked to break on the counter. Will Newcastle look at that and be like, okay, that worked, or will they play a bit more expansively?
I hope we do look at that because we have been playing too expansive lately. I think what we need, I think we're going to end up dropping Mitrovic. I'm not sure if that's the right thing to do because Mitrovic offers us the X factor. He's big, he's strong, and he's a nightmare for defenders when he gets service. But we're not getting strikers any service right now. There's no crosses going in, so why you even got him there? So I'm hoping we'll play maybe Jose Perez with Wijnaldum just behind him. With that, those two are both skillful, pacey players, and then just sit back. Because, like I say, that's the one thing Pardew struggles with. Pardew struggles with his own philosophy. He doesn't know how to fight it. It's his style, isn't it, really?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny you say about struggling up front. We can't score goals at the moment. That is our main problem, which is why I think it's going to be a 0-0 draw on Saturday.
What's the issue with the striking issue? Because sometimes he's been playing like Balassi up front and then Gale and then Wickham. And it was a little bit like that at Newcastle as well. You didn't know who was striker and who was out wide. And at one point we had Papi Cisse in right midfield, mate. It was very strange.
Well, Wickham came in the summer and Pardew's been very much like, this is my man up top. And then he got injured after 3 games. And since then he hasn't been able to work out who can play up front. Gale played, got sent off and suspended. Balassi played, didn't work. Sacco's been tried a few times. But I think now Wickham's back, it's probably going to be him up top.
I'm kind of glad. Sacco's injured, isn't he?
Probably, yeah.
He's quite a worrying player. He's quite a good player. I've been quite impressed by him. He's quick and strong. And Gale, I don't know if Gale's got the physical stature to make it as a striker like that. He seems a bit talented, but...
He's good in the 6-yard box. He's got that that knack in the 6-yard box.
Jermaine Defoe type player, I guess.
Exactly, yeah. But needs to bulk up a bit. But
should be interesting, mate.
We'll see. Yeah, I think it'd be a 0-0 draw, but maybe we can sneak it. Well, listen, Geordie, thank you very much for joining us.
Nice one, mate. Thanks for having us on, pal.
You can check out the True Geordie's videos. He's got 2 channels. He's got his football channel and a gaming channel. Check them both out. There'll be links in the description below. He's also part of the Football Republic, which is a fast-growing internet YouTube channel, and it's very, very good indeed. Check that out as well. Don't forget to follow PalaceFanTV on Instagram and Snapchat and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers.